Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. So I kind of want to have a bit of a discussion, right? Because there are people who are saying that with no new borrowed power system, we're going to have a bad time. um, and that's kind of the annoying thing because people are saying that borrowed power systems in the past are what made the game interesting. Right? If we will cut over here to a post on MMO Champion, or well, a post responding to a post. So this person saying the problem with gear progression is that it's boring, which is true. Artifacts were cool because what you got was exciting, even when it was tiny nodes. That's not true for a lot of specs. For example, the Windwalker one had your Touch of Death essentially increases in damage, back when it used to be a really cool cooldown. Your Fist of Fury will do extra damage, and after using Strike of the Windlord, your artifact ability, you do extra damage. And then I think it was your Rising Sun Kick hits double. A lot of these were remade into talents or into legendaries. In fact, one of the little nodes on our artifact weapon, Good Karma, is now a talent. Very similar to the I'm trying to remember the node. I could pull up the calculator, but I really don't want to because it's a lot of work and I've already done that. I've tried recording this video, but I keep missing stuff, right? Then they were talking about how Azerite armor was cool because most of them had cool effects. I think the coolest effect that I saw from Azerite armor would be when you summon a little, like, zombie dino. Because personally, in my Azerite armor as a Windwalker monk, the only traits that I would really go for is increase in damage. I think there was one that's like, oh, after using so many abilities, there's an X% chance when you use Fist of Fury or whatever that you summon Zuen, right? You summon your Celestial, which was really cool because it was gameable, because you could build up those stacks all the way up to the cap and then have a 100 and I think like 20% chance to summon Zuen at the beginning of a fight, which was great. It was cool. That was the most interactive that we got with any of our Azerite powers. Corruption, again, wasn't cool. All you had was a beam that went out from you that was great for tanks because it scaled off your HP. A random dot that would stack up and do amazing damage for some specs while being completely useless for others. I think there was a cleave, cooldown reduction, and then just stat bonuses, which didn't start off great but got amazing because of your increase in gear. So it would give you more of a stat anyways because it scaled off the stats that you had. So an extra 30% from when you had... So, I don't know, where was I? Like, you had Twilight Dev, and 36% of 100 is 36. But 36% of 300 is 100, right? So that's why those corruptions got better. They didn't really affect how you played, and they weren't really that cool. Like, they weren't interesting. And conduits, oh buddy, you know what? Let's just do this. Let's do this. And these are conduits. These are enhanced conduits. Let's talk about them. When you take damage, heal. It's not very interesting. Fortifying Brew grants you an absorb. Okay. When casting Vivify on yourself, its healing is increased and it has a 30% chance to refund its cost. I don't know when you'd be casting Vivify on yourself, but okay. Harm Denial. Expel Harm's healing is increased. Okay, using healing increase that's okay. Actually, what we're gonna do is we're gonna Oh, I have to be at a place to swap it. Ugh, that's so stupid. During shuffle, Heavy Stagger has a chance to heal you instead of dealing damage. Okay, that doesn't change how you play. While under the effects of Celestial Brew, the effects that heal you are increased by 31.9%. So that's your effects. So like your Healing Brew or your Leech or stuff like that. Doesn't really change how you play. Lingering Numbness, it's movement debuff after paralysis. Doesn't change how you play. Targets affected by leg sweep deal 10.6% less damage for 5 seconds. Not really, affecting how you play. Transcendence Transfer increases movement speed. I guess maybe on a really heavy movement fight. I guess an Old Deer on Gahoon maybe, but I don't know. Blackout Kick has a 10.2% chance to grant a charge of roll. I don't know many times where you're going to be doing Blackout Kick and roll, like, simultaneously. Well, let's get down to the potency ones, right? Because these ones are the ones that change how you play. Strike with Clarity. Duration is increased and it increases mastery. Okay. Calculated Strikes. Spinning Crane Kick bonus is increased by 18%. Okay. After they affix on the same target, they deal increased damage. Okay, so you hit the button again. Inner Fury, damage increase. Zuin's Bond, oh my god. An increase in Zuin's damage, and you reduce the cooldown of Invoke Zuin by 0.1 seconds every time you hit an ability that triggers Combo Strike. And because of the GCD, you can essentially hit one every second. So 60 seconds, well, I mean, you get like a whole 6 seconds off, right? That's super powerful, except it's not, because you have to line it up with your regular cooldowns. So you wouldn't take that unless Zuin's damage is a big deal. Maybe, I'm not sure, I'd have to check the thing, but that doesn't change how you play. Additional damage to targets affected by Breath of Fire doesn't really, change how you play. Sorry, I'm getting over the coof. Abilities that grant Shuffle reduce the cooldown of Invoke Nu Zhao, the Black Ox, by 0.5 seconds. Stomp deals additional damage. Again, doesn't really change how you play. Gives you your Ox a little more often. Adaptive Armor Fragment. When you are healed by another player, increase your Agi. What, is that only a tank conduit? Go fuck yourself. By 3.6% for 15 seconds. This can only occur once every 30 seconds. Fuck you. How you suck so hard. Jade Bond, abilities that activate Gust of Mist, reduce the cooldown, and its healing is increased. It's almost like every spec has that ability. Live Cocoon increases healing over time by an additional 33.8%, and it lingers for an additional 6 seconds after it's removed. Okay. Gust of Mist has a 30% chance to do 85% more healing. Okay. Rising Sun Kick reduces the remaining cooldown on Revival by 1 second, and Revival heals targets over time. Okay, that can get, maybe half of an extra Revival, but we're not seeing anything. Okay, what about the abilities here? Bronze Call to Action. Every 75 abilities you get something. Doesn't really do anything. Vial of Serendiana, you get the point, right? I think we get the point now. You don't get anything super special awesome or anything like that from playing with the conduits. You don't get anything special from this borrowed power as compared to the new talent system. My dog is not happy because my dog has to be put up right now because my dog likes to run into other rooms. But the new talent system will actually change how you play compared to now. And people are like, well, there's not anything new. It's the same old, same old. You won't have all your abilities. I'll tell you right now, I don't use all my abilities. I have Transcendence and Transcendence Transfer on my bar because, yeah, they're niche and really useful in some fights, but guess what? I don't need them for every fight. I don't want to be like, well, I gotta take Tiger's Lust or an extra roll of, or an extra charge of roll, or I need to take Chi Torpedo or something like. Wait, which one are you? Are you Siri? Okay, you're my Siri kitty. Sometimes I don't need a movement bonus, right? Playing Terragru, guess what? Terragru, you really don't need anything. Like, use roll. Okay, done. That's it. That's the only thing you need to do on Terragru, if that. And guess what? You can talent for it. You can talent for movement bonuses and stuff like that. You don't need to have it on your bar now. And that'd be great, because if you just look at some of the talent builds that people are coming up with and people are posting via the Mythic Trap talent calculator or their own homemade ones, and obviously not the Wowhead ones, because Wowhead takes too long in doing anything with anything Dragonflight related, because they have to talk about Diablo Immortal. Well, gotta get them quicks, guys. Oh yeah, gotta get them quicks. It's dumb. It's dumb. It truly is. And also, just in case you guys can kind of see the computer behind me and kind of the shovel, I totally didn't do something to the owner of that computer. No, that's going to be a buddy of mine who is going to be. My cat sees a moth, and I'm very scared. But they're going to be playing, they're going to be a tank for Dragonflight, so we're getting that all set up and making sure that they're aces and having a little bit of fun in that aspect. Borrowed power isn't giving you anything that Dragonflight isn't giving you. Like, oh, hey, I get this with the old borrowed power system. I guess essences you could argue, but you only got one active ability through the essences and the other ones were passives. So you could argue that the essences were just the Covenant abilities, and the Covenant abilities are now in the talent tree. Congratulations, you haven't lost anything. People are like, my DK used to have this ability and this ability, and now I have to build a certain way to get both of them. That's true, you do. However, you now also have an undead ghoul as Frost, and you also have a haste increase for being in your Death and Decay, a little more AoE, 2 movement abilities, chance to grab Soul Reaper, and A-Bomb's Limb, stuff like that. Oh, hey, you can be a Blood DK with some what used to be DPS only talents. That's how it goes. That's how it works. I'm looking forward to being a monk and maybe having clones that I can control. Like, have the basic talent being, hey, the clones go wherever you control them with click, and have an extra talent be, hey, you now control when your clones go out, and you click it to send out one clone, click it again to send out another clone, and you click it again to cancel it, blah blah blah. That would return it. We could have the original Chi Explosion instead of the knockoff legendary. And I am not going to go through all of the Windwalker legendaries, because there's maybe 4 that change how you play in very minimal ways. One of which makes crackling. 1 second. One of which makes crackling Jade Lightning hit, I think, for 14k as compared to 700, but it's a lot of workup. Another one just adds an AoE component to your Spinning Crane Kick, which is already massive AoE. One of them makes you like dash when you do Tiger Palm, and then once every minute you do extra damage to them. The other one is an old tier set bonus, but severely watered down. And of course, the one that everyone uses is the one where every time you pop your 2-minute Celestial cooldown, you get Hero. It's a 33% haste increase. You're gonna use it. It's on a 2-minute cooldown. Why would you not use it? It lines up with all your other cooldowns. It's amazingly powerful. But that's it. Like, people are talking about, oh, borrowed power used to be great. All these people are gonna regret not having a borrowed power system. You know what I'm gonna regret? I'm gonna regret if Blizzard doesn't add like island expeditions or something by the end of the expansion. Right now, I'm really liking everything that I'm seeing and that I'm hearing about the expansion so far. Dragon riding's really good. The leveling sounds good. The reputation system sounds good because each one has their own little story. And they've got the regular rep rewards plus the renown rep rewards, which are like automatic. Then the tier sets are, they're amazing. I love the monk tier set, and I imagine the four different colors are for the four different difficulties. And the return of tier sets has just been glorious. I am a little worried because we had a dev say in an interview and in their video that a lot of them weren't around when tier sets existed. That was only 6 years ago. Oh, no, that was only 4 years ago. Oh my god, it was only 4 years ago. I'm a little worried. I am a little worried here, boys. But I think overall we should be okay. I'm not seeing anything like missing too much from this expansion. They should add stuff in patches, and it's, I don't know. I think people need to kind of realize that borrowed power wasn't great. It, like, people are really, really looking through rose-tinted goggles here, in that when it came to how we were as a base class without all of these borrowed power systems attached, we kind of sucked. In Legion, you had the artifact weapon. That was fine. You didn't need extra stuff. You worked. BFA, playing without Azerite armor, without corruption, that was a huge DPS loss. Some of those, if you didn't have a full set of unlocked Azerite armor, I think you were doing at least 30% less DPS. It was insane. And then when you add in corruption, that was worse. Shadowlands, you don't have a legendary, might as well not even hit a button. But I think that we are okay. I think that Shadowlands, once testing starts next week, we should be good. Willing to do favors for anyone who has access to testing, by the way.